Today we're going to be talking about six things
Mm-hmm.
that creators can do when they feel like quitting.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is pretty much every time.
Welcome to the YouNeek Show, where we talk about all things YouNeek Studios, African geekdom, and the business of creators.
Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the YouNeek Show. My name is Roye Okupe, and I am the CEO and founder of YouNeek Studios. Co-host, introduce yourself.
I am Jay Abaje of the Nigerian Nerds and a huge fan of all things African creatives do. Therefore, thrilled to be here on the YouNeek Show. How you all
Oh,
doing?
I'm doing good. I don't think they can hear you yet.
Well,
But
that's now we
as
should
we
go live.
record,
We need to go live. We need to go live.
yeah, we actually need to do that. Because it'll be fun to go live and actually make it more interactive. So
I
yeah,
know. Yeah. Do
that's
a
coming
live
soon.
show. Bring some people on, hear their feedback and questions, and answer those, and risk spoiling things that you can't edit.
Cool. If you want us to go live, put it in the chat. Let me see. Let's see how many people will want us. But in the meantime, we're doing the business of creators today. What topic are we doing on that?
So this is one of those aspects of YouNeek Studios I really like, is where we talk about the behind the scenes, the business side of things, and stuff that's practical that people who
Mm-hmm.
are also either super young creatives or anybody out there who's maybe just hit a wall in their creative outlet and creative journey can listen to. So today we're going to be talking about six things
Mm-hmm.
that creators can do when they feel like quitting.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
is pretty much every time.
Okay, you said it. I didn't, but it's true. I mean, if you think you feel like quitting what you're doing, trust me,
Mm-hmm.
you're creative. That can
It's
sometimes
hard.
feel magnified. That's
Yeah.
something feel magnified.
Yeah.
And you know
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
best thing about this, I think, is that this is stuff that Roy has been putting out in terms of knowledge like this
Yeah.
for a long time. This article, um, the thoughts that you hear us discuss here were actually put out in an article years ago. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
like five,
Four,
six
five
years
years.
ago,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
a while back.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking about that. And number one is remember why you started, right?
Yep, this one is something that I always try to talk about, knowing your why. And like I always tell people, if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, um odds are is that you're going to have a very difficult time doing it for a long time. So this is the thing that actually every time I feel like quitting, and I know I joked about it, it comes up pretty often. And I'm getting better at it personally. But I actually wrote this article for myself. It's funny. I wrote this article when I felt like quitting. Like when like it was one of the times when I just started YouNeek Studios and things weren't going the way that I had planned. And I was like, what am I doing here? Like, why do I don't want to do this anymore? And I had to force myself to sit down and figure things out. And one of the first things that came to my mind was you have to remember why you started doing it. You started this company, you started writing stories because you wanted to inspire people to chase their dreams while you were living yours. You wanted to be an example that it is possible to be a creator and find success your own way. It doesn't always have to be monetary. It doesn't always have to be, oh, someone acquired this, somebody, paid for this, or somebody gave me X amount of money, or my show is on TV. Definition, everybody's definition of success is different. And you have to figure out what your definition of success is and then allow that to guide you. But it starts with knowing why you're doing what you're doing and always channeling back to that when inevitably things are going to go wrong, because that is completely, if you're going to be a creator and you're going to create anything that's worthwhile, things are going to go wrong. You understand what I'm saying?
That is so true. Imagine the creator who have never had anything go wrong. Yes, they exist in imagination, only in imagination. So,
Yeah.
okay, moving on.
Yeah.
Second thing,
Yeah.
the number two reason why thing you should do when you feel like quitting is
Look back.
exactly.
So this was the second thing. Like literally, this is how it's funny. Like I wrote the blog as I was figuring out, okay, this is the first thing I need to do. The second thing that I thought about was I need to look back. And at that point, I had actually made some decent strides with YouNeek Studios. It might have not have been where I wanted it to be, but I wasn't where I was.
Mm.
Right. When you always have to take some time wherever you are to look back and say, you know what, I've actually done some pretty cool things. And for me, it was going back to, I think at that point I had 3 or 4 books out. I think I had EXO part 1 and part 2, and then Malika part 1 was out at that point in time. And I look back at myself as a writer. I had 3 graphic novels. I had 3. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? Some people stop at 1 comic book, 1 issue 1. I had done at that point in time over 300 pages of content, and that was something that I could be proud of. That
Yeah.
was something that I could say, you know what, you've actually done a great job, Roy, and you've gotten to a point now where you're actually consistently putting out good work. You may not be getting the money that you thought you would have. You may not be getting the recognition or the awards, but you've worked hard, and the evidence of your work is out there in droves. It's not just 1 book. You have 3 books. So, excuse me, you have 3 books. So looking back is a great way for you to appreciate where you're coming from, appreciate the fans that have supported you and have put you in a position for you to continually do what you're doing, whether it's 10 of them, 100 of them, 1,000 of them. If one person can say, I'm going to buy your book, that is a win. Like if
Mhm.
somebody can take money out of their pocket, their hard-earned money, to say, I want to buy something that you made, that's a win. So you can always look back and see how far you've come, and let that be the propellant that you use to push yourself forward through wanting to quit.
The amazing thing is that I think even in African proverbs, there's one story about how if the lizard jumps from the roof and falls on the ground, it has to nod its own head to tell itself, I've done well.
That's
Sometimes it
hilarious.
might seem comical, because in your own mind, you think you haven't done anything, but
Yeah,
there's a place for patting yourself on the back. There is a
yeah,
place for celebrating yourself and looking back.
yeah, yeah.
But then also the third thing that we're going to dive into in terms of what to do when you feel like quitting is
Look,
sometimes you got to look at others, right?
yeah, yep.
Specifically the greats.
Yeah, you always have to look at the grades. I'm telling you, anybody or most people that you see and you see their success, if you go back and research where they started, how
Mm.
long it took them to get there, some
Yeah.
of the hiccups, some of the roadblocks that they had to get to that point, it will shock you how much adversity they had to face. Like just 2 examples, like Stephen King, one of the greatest writers of our time, his first novel, Carrie, was rejected 30 times. 30 times.
Whenever I hear that story, my
It's
first
crazy.
thought is, who are the people who rejected Stephen King's novel? Where are they now? I wish we could hear them say, "So I rejected it because it was this."
But it's funny.
Amazing to think about.
It's crazy, but it's life, right? Even Michael Jordan, his first high school coach, I believe, cut him from the high school team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you understand? It's just mind-boggling. The greatest player of all time. I
Yeah.
don't want to get into a debate now, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Please
Don't worry.
don't.
I support that. Don't
But
worry.
the greatest basketballer of all time, in my opinion, um, was cut from his high school team,
Mm.
but he came back from that to become the greatest of all time. If he had took what that coach said at that point in time as, you are not good enough to be a professional basketball player, we would have never had Michael Jordan. The
No.
NBA would probably not be what it is today
Yeah.
without Michael Jordan.
True.
Right? So the ripple effect, I've said this before, to the ripple effect of you taking other people's opinions as facts in terms of your own journey and what you want to chase and your own dreams. Now, I'm not saying don't take criticism. You should
Mhm.
always listen to people. Constructive criticism is great and it pushes you forward. But always go back to your heart. Like if you feel in your heart that you're meant to do something and there's something for you out there that you're trying to achieve,
Mm.
always go back to that drive and make sure that you're sharpening your tools, you're perfecting your craft,
Right.
you're looking at mentors, you're getting wisdom, and you're getting better and better and better. And I think Michael Jordan is that perfect example where that huge setback that he had pushed him to become the
Work harder.
best
Right.
player ever. So always use the greats as an example of how you can come back when you feel like everything is lost.
Truth is, by looking at the greats, you will pick up something from somebody. Like you just said, Stephen King had experienced setback, being rejected. Michael Jordan experienced being rejected, and it made him work harder.
Yeah.
But then you also have the times when people are sometimes wrong about the greats, like Walt
Yeah.
Disney. I think you mentioned that in your article, where Walt Disney was literally they said, this man has no imagination,
Yeah.
no good ideas.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Like,
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And I don't want to hop on this point, but it's one of the most important ones because there's just so much in it. That's a crazy thing to hear. But again, I can imagine him going back, taking that criticism and saying, okay, that's your opinion. I believe that I have imagination. And now I'm going to work hard to prove that's actually the truth, and that what is inside me actually deserves to come out. So it's your reaction to that criticism.
yeah.
It's your reaction to that you can't do it. It's your reaction to you need to quit. That's what matters. It's not what you feel. It's how you respond to it that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah. And another a very great point you make in the article, and I think people really need to go look that up and read it on the YouNeek Studios website, is the fact that sometimes when you're feeling like quitting, do unto others what you wish somebody would do unto you, right? Help
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah. Number 4 is help someone else. I have to admit this is a hard one, because human beings inherently, like, we're selfish people.
Mm.
Sometimes it's like it's all about me, 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 me. My work, my work, my work. Buy my this, buy my this. I want to be the I. And I've been guilty of this as well. But I have to always consciously, at every point in time, remember that you know we need to help each other. You need to love your neighbor, right? That's
Mhm.
why I do this podcast. That's why I do this segment, is because I want to help people. You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? There's not a lot of you know there's not a lot of it's not easy to just carve out a lot of time to say, okay, let me do this or let me do that, but in your own way, in whatever small way, if it's 5 minutes picking up the phone to just check on someone, say, hey, how you doing? Or if it takes you 30 seconds to just click share on somebody else's work, or post a comment or a like, or do all three, or spend $5 to buy somebody's comic or support somebody's Kickstarter, it actually
I'm
reward.
glad you
There's
bring
something
that
about,
particular
yeah,
point up.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, no, yeah. There's something in you that when you're feeling down, or like, oh, you feel like, man, it's not working out for me. Let me actually help somebody. Let me make it work out for somebody else. There's just something about life that brings that full circle. Now, you shouldn't do it because you're expecting anything back in return. That's not help. That's a
Mhm.
transaction. You
Right.
should do it out of the kindness of your heart.
You're so right. I think I remember distinctly this time when I was on one of the Facebook groups where a lot of creators gather, and somebody was on there complaining about the fact that his friends and family were not supporting his work,
Right.
and other people said, "Oh, put a link to your work here," and
Yeah.
that's it. And then they took a look at it, and somebody pointed out, "Dude, you've been on your Kickstarter has been here for a few years," and they checked. You haven't supported any other.
Mm-mm.
You've
Mm.
you've
Mm.
never bought any other person's book.
Mm-hmm.
You've never, supported any other Kickstarter animated project.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, there are the people I've seen who succeed. They tend to be the people who themselves are constantly supporting
Yeah.
other creators. It's
Yeah.
just like they're creating that ecosystem and that whole circle of goodwill that
Yeah.
they're putting out there and
Yeah.
supporting other works, lifting others up, and they themselves tend to almost always get their Kickstarters hit. Targets get hit.
as
You know,
as Nigerians will say, "Bam!" Like you hit the you hit the nail on the head. No, it's that it's just I feel like it's really one of the most important things that you can do as a creator is help another creator.
Mm,
I truly feel that, but again, I have to reiterate: don't do it because you expect something back in return. Because some people do that, and you
true.
find out they actually they'll call you out and say, "Hey, but I supported your Kickstarter. Why didn't you?" That's not the no. You don't support people so that they can support you. You support them because that's the right thing to do, and you want to help them. Now, if they end up doing something for you in return,
Great.
that's fine, but don't do it with the expectation of getting anything back. That's not help.
And on that note, sometimes when you are hitting a wall mentally, creatively, when you feel like quitting, maybe sometimes you should temporarily, just pause.
Yep. Number 5, take a break. Notice I said take a break, not quit. because those are two different things, right?
Yeah.
But there are some times where you need to take a step back and just remove yourself from the work. It does one of two things. Number one, it actually allows your brain to reset. As a creative person, it's really hard when your mind is just supercharged with like work, ideas, this, I need to get these deadlines. Sometimes when you take a step back, some of my greatest ideas have come when I wasn't trying to work. When I was like, you know what, this weekend I'm not doing anything, or this week I'm not doing anything, or whatever the case may be. Like there's just something about rest, just even it's like, or Sabbath or something, like just taking time to not do anything and just relax. That's number one. Number two, it's important to also have a life outside your work. Like if you have a family, spend time with your family. If you have friends, spend time with them. Go out with people, see the world, travel, do different things. These things are very important. It's very important to create balance. And I say that now because even at some point, at a point, I'm at a point in my own life now where there's a lot of work, and I have to remind myself to take a break to make sure that I balance it with just not working 24/7 as well. So this is another very, very important one, is that take a step back, relax, chill, recharge, and then get back at it.
Hmm. Very, very true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the biggest and probably most important thing you should do and keep doing when you feel like quitting is number 6.
Do it anyway. Yeah, this is a hard one.
Oh yeah.
But you're gonna have days where you just have to show up. You just have to show up. You're not going to like it. You're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to appreciate it. You're not going to feel like it. You're not going to want to do it. You're not going to have any idea why you're doing it, but you just show up and you do it, and you do it well, and you do it with excellence. That's what separates sometimes. That's what sometimes separates good from great, is people that show up even when they don't want to. And you hear it in sports all the time. Like when you're tired, you're injured, it's like, but you still show up. You show up to play. You show up to you show up into the ring, and you put out that fight. But I say this, and I don't say it lightly. It's easier said than done, but at the end of the day, it has to be done.
Mm.
If you really, really believe in something, if you're passionate about something, a dream, a goal, a vision, some days you're not going to want to do it. And I argue that those would be some of the most important days, that when you don't want to do it, like stepping up and actually doing it, sometimes is those are going to be some of the most important days of your life, is doing it when you don't want to do it.
And on that note, I will say this. Once you have followed all these 6 steps, if none of these works for you, and what you need to do is look up Roy. Find him
I
on
was going to say
social
you should pray, but
find him on social media and say, yo, I did all 6. Can I have number 7?
number 7. Number 7 is pray.
Oh God. But this is great. And I really hope that for everybody listening and watching, that this helped you in some
Yeah.
way. And if it did, great. Let us know. Go follow YouNeek Studios on social media. Check out the YouTube account and watch some of the other material on there. And then
Yeah.
in addition to that, get out there and read some of the works that came out of this mind that didn't quit. Like, what happens when you didn't quit? Let's see what you came up with, Roy, and
Right,
then
right.
see how that played out, right?
I appreciate it. Yeah, check us out at YouNeek Studios, at YouNeek Studios on all social platforms, YouNeekStudios.com. Keep pushing creators. Like, you're almost there. You can do it.
Indeed. And you can find me at Nuru, the Nerd Guru, on all social media. You can also find the Niger Nerds at the Niger Nerds on social media. Looking forward to seeing what you come up with. Let me know. Would love to read it. Peace out.
All right, guys. Take care.